So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming or watching this later. My name is Dr. Jay Walker. I am Program Director of the Master of Arts program in Economics at Old Dominion University, and here to talk today as we are in the midst of application season for fall admissions to PhD programs and master's programs in economics and in other disciplines about writing a statement of purpose. And so to give you a little bit of an idea, I've been with Old Dominion University for about 9 years. Well, this is my ninth year. I finished my PhD in 2012 at the University of Memphis, and I have been program director of our master's program for the last 2.5 years. I read, dozens, 50 or plus statements of purpose, I apologize, each semester. And so this is something that I see a lot of. The admissions committee at my university sees a lot of. I wrote numerous of these myself, applying to graduate schools. It has been a few years. And so this is just something that students or potential students are interested in, and just as something to sort of talk about or to use maybe as a way to promote our program, but to generate interest in general or to help students improve their applications. Thought this might be a nice discussion to have. And so, as I mentioned, peak application system or season. If you are applying in economics, if you're looking at master's degrees, the due dates will start to come a little bit later, probably like January to March, something like that. But if you are looking at PhD programs, I believe I have seen December 1st, but December 15th, 1st of January, January 15th, we are right there when things will start becoming due. And so this is probably on the students we have in mind, who've attending today, or the people attending today on their minds, on the minds of the students or the people watching this later. One of the things, and so this is just sort of an overview, like you really, and this is a very academic writing sort of standpoint, don't think of it as being like a creative writing. If you're applying to creative writing programs, perhaps, it's not necessarily something to bare your soul about, some long-lived dream, although that can be in there. You are just trying to professionally argue because this is a writing sample. This is why many programs have it. They are looking to see how you comport yourself and how you can make an argument. Like, how interested are you in the program? At least me personally, I read dozens. I know that there are some programs that receive probably markedly more applications than us, some receive fewer. And so if you read a number of these, what can hold attention, right? You're trying to sort of like, this student has clear goals. This student knows what they want. They know what our program represents, and we can help them with that, right? So think about brevity. So brevity just means relatively short, succinct, and then clear. Be clear in what you're trying to argue for. Just one quick blurb, sort of an announcement. If you don't already, but considering the main way that I announced this was via LinkedIn, please follow our page. Here, if you just point your phone at the QR code, it should take you to the page. A lot of announcements come out there. We try to do these kinds of programs throughout the year according to what is going on, just talking about graduate school, economics in general, sort of trends, also department news, student accomplishments. I think our student spotlight posted today as well. Just kind of interesting stuff if you're intrigued. So please, if you don't already, please give us a follow and on with the show. And so the 3 questions every statement of purpose should answer applying to economics program. You can think of, who are you as an economist? If it's economics, who are you as a graduate student? Right? So like, I want to be this kind of economist. Or, like, this is my focus. Right? What do you want to study? And so programs know that you may not be certain about your specific field, your specific focus. But I do think that if you can talk about specific ideas, or like, I am interested in labor economics. I'm a labor economist, so I am interested in labor economics, or I am interested in the economics of education, right? And you can say why that is. Who are you as an economist, right? Why this program? So in today's world where like lots of information is available online about programs, also AI makes this much easier to do. You can ask for summaries of specific pages. You should personalize like any kind of uh, interaction that you have with program directors. I'm not just saying this, you have to do this with me. I'm just saying in general, like, try to be professional in all your communications and all your application materials. Clearly, AI can help you in this, right? You can personalize things. Okay, so with this three kind of questions in mind, we'll keep moving. And so what is the purpose of this? And so I've got sort of like this overview. We're going to fill in these three questions. What is the purpose of the statement of purpose? A few purposes there. And so in the end of the day, it is not about grades. I will say that the statement of purpose, or perhaps somewhere in a cover letter, if you do have grades that are not as good, or if you have some weaknesses, you can talk about that. So like an admissions committee will notice if you had a C in calculus, and you could help perhaps address that in the letter. So how can you sort of like calm any fears that an application committee might have? Right. So it's not necessarily about grades, but think about coherently making arguments, right? And so think about how your goals, like in the long run, I would like to work for a non-governmental organization, or I would like to work at an organization like the World Bank to try to improve educational outcomes in lesser developed countries. I see your program, or this program that I'm applying to, has this economist or these economists who have these specialties, or as a program like ours that is focused on applied data analysis, and those skills where students learn R as part of the program, like how those data skills will translate into that longer term goal. What do admissions committees look for? And I can tell you that this is the case with me. They look for motivation. Do I believe the student, like, they seem like they're going to do it? Regardless of whether they come to Old Dominion University or attend somewhere else, they're going to get a master's degree, right? And so in the longer term, you can just say research potential. And so many students who apply are hopeful to get graduate assistantships. And so that's where, like, is there a potential that this student could be a research assistant and be productive, right? And so that signifies knowledge of specific softwares, whether it be Stata or even just Excel, right? Power BI, some of these that are hot that you hear about now. Do you have prior research experience? I presented at, I developed my capstone project. And then at the same time, realism. And so there's this idea that, like, I want to change the world. On some level, we all do. And I still hope that I do. I'm a bit of a dreamer. And I think we should all be on some level. Anyone who wants to get a graduate education, who wants to go on to be successful, there has to be some kind of dream, some kind of drive. But you need to be realistic as well, right? So like have specific goals, and or like things that, given what the information is from the program about their trajectory of graduates, that you can attain as well. So I think that there could be four logical parts. And notice here, I'm not talking about word counts, because those will differ according to where you're applying to. Right? I think the one for ODU, or for the one for our program, is like 500 words. There are some that are 250 words. Some are just like 2 pages. But the idea is you should have simple introduction, academic background, what you have done, right? What courses you've taken, those sorts of things, what experiences you've had, research interests in fit, why this is the perfect program for you, or why this is a good program for you and your goals, and then future goals, what you plan on doing with it. I want to be an analyst at a Fortune 500 company, right? And so we do have graduates who move into industry. We have some graduates who move into like PhD, doctoral study. It's okay if you don't know for sure. Many don't, and I'll be honest, when I started a PhD, I wasn't certain. But I did have an idea of what I thought I wanted to do. And I had researched programs enough that I tried to talk about how I fit the program. Okay. And again, questions or concerns, you can always just drop a question in. Okay. Introduction. And so now I'm going to go through each one of the individual. How did the applicants, how did your interest form in economics? Mine, it was kind of odd. I'm from a rural area, a very small town, a village. If you're someone from outside the United States, of like 700, 800 people. And in my small town, people who worked in the bank seemed to have more money or more resources. And so I thought studying economics would allow me to access or to do something different than the majority of the people in my small town. And then honestly, once I started studying, I realized that I just loved the subject. Right. So I wanted to study economics, but now I realize that as a social science, it is just a way to view the world. Right. And so I became fascinated. And so I don't know that I would tell the banker story initially. Like, it was really my first class I took as an undergraduate in college. I took Principles of Macroeconomics with Dr. Mike Benefield. If he happens to watch this, hello, Dr. Benefield. Still one of my favorite professors. And I never have forgotten that class. It just made sense to me, and I have loved it since then. And so with that introduction, talk about how you came to economics, right? Why you want to study, some kind of statement to just sort of say, drawing attention, and what you think your field of interest is. Okay, some kind of introduction, like that. So, academic background. Major coursework. And so this is something else that's worth mentioning, by the way. So if you're thinking about studying economics, or if you're changing, so I do see this with students who want to move from finance to economics, or if they're moving from accounting, or they're moving from some other, like, it's a related field oftentimes, or another social science, but they want to move into economics. You should talk about why. I chose this. This is why I became fascinated with these sorts of ideas. And therefore, I want to study economics now. Your major coursework. And so this doesn't have to be specific classes. What kinds of skills did you learn in your classes? And so for some of you, according to where you went to school, some universities require more or less math or statistics. And so as part of preparing for graduate school, I personally had to go back and take like 6 classes, I think. I already had an MBA, a master's in business administration, but I wanted to pursue a doctorate in economics. And so I went back and took some math and stat to get ready for my first year of doctoral study. And so I talked about courses that I had already taken, courses I had been taking to prepare myself, and then how the skills, because I had also worked, and some people will have working experience, some people won't. Lots of people go straight from undergraduate study into graduate study, and that's totally fine. As well as if you've had research experience. And so this does not necessarily have to mean that, you published an article. This could be, I had projects and courses. This means I participated in like research conferences, even if it was at your own university. Talk about how like you gather data, you had a research project, you synthesized it, and because this again directly translates to what you're going to have to do in your program, right? And connect some of these experiences to how economists think. Okay. Good. Academic background. Research interests in fit. And so typically speaking, so like here at ODU, we have a number of economists who work in applied microeconomics and or urban. But there are some flavors with some different options with that. And so like urban, housing, transportation. I'm the labor economist of our group. And so like, where do you think you might want to study? Or which of these fields do you think you might want to study and why? I would recommend, again, talk about specific faculty. Like as an example of who might be someone I could work with, this professor, this work. These sorts of things will certainly draw attention of faculty members because that suggests that you have researched the department enough that you have learned, right? And so again, these are relatively easy web searches to do. And don't name everybody in the whole department. Name 2 or 3. I don't think that you're going to have people's feelings who get hurt, but like my interests are this. I think that I might be interested in studying this program feature, or the fact that this is focused on applied data analysis, looking to prepare students to either be successful research assistants in a doctoral program or to step into roles using applied data analysis skills, fits my background because, right? That's the idea. Fit, research interest. Okay. Future goals. Is it a doctorate? Some students know right away. If students arrive and you don't know, hopefully the program, I will say that I think we are improving in this, trying to get students talking from like the first day to think about which track you want to be on as you're leaving. Like I'm like based on if I want to start a PhD after this master's degree, that helps you think about what you need to do during your time in the program. I want to working with policymakers. I want to be the one who supplies the data and talks like analytically with policymakers trying to make decisions. I want to work in data analytics, central banking, government. So to get professional, not too dreamy. I mean, I personally am a sucker for, I want to do this, but I wrote down this example on purpose, right? So ending world poverty, while I think all of us, if that is not on some level our ultimate goal as economists, it is not as tractable as, I want to work or I want to, attend this master's program with the longer term goal to move to work in a non-government organization to work on improving living standards. Or, I want to focus on working with an NGO to improve education outcomes in lesser developed countries. Why that, and then say that's important to me because I think this program can help me do that because, right? And so that seems realistic, right? So like, then you can say, this is where I am. This is a step on the path. This is where I'm going to be afterwards, right? So nice, rational train of thought. Okay. What to avoid. Everyone has this. I've heard this from other program directors across campus. The childhood origin cliched story. One of my grandparents died of cancer, and so therefore it inspired me to be a doctor. I mean, almost everyone has we all have tragedies. And I don't want to come across as callous, and saying that that's not something to have in mind is why you are motivated to do things. But these do show up often in statement of purposes. I do think that you can say, like, from prior experience, I understand the weight of sickness, or, like, I have seen firsthand, like, how quality of education can determine outcomes, something like that. But some of the cliches, I think it's best to avoid. Empty flattery. I mean, your program is the best. Again, this is something I would just argue. Fit makes a difference. This was a big talk that my friends and I had in graduate school, and honestly, that I've had with many other people since graduate school. Like, is it better to attend the best graduate, like the best school that you are allowed into, or perhaps a lower ranked school where you were the best student or one of the better students? There is no perfect answer. For me, I like the idea of perhaps being at schools that are lower ranked, but yet the fit is different, or if the culture fits. I have always been lucky to have either good professors who were willing to work and help me, and or have good colleagues at the universities. And that's one of the things I will say that makes a difference. So, like, we get along, at least at ODU, as a department. There are always problems, just like anywhere, but the department works to try to help students get to where they can get. But this idea, your program is the best. Well, there's only one best. We may be better at one thing, or like, I see your program is focused on applied data analysis using R. This helps me because, but simply saying your program is the best, I think, is this being unfocused. And so it is difficult to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. I, even at this age, middle age, struggle with this myself. Like, maybe I'd like to try this, or what kind of research would I like to focus on? I do think there is certain value to being focused. I like this and that and that and that. You can talk about direct. This is where I am. This is what I'm going to do with you. And this is what I am planning to do after your program. Now, things change. Everyone knows that. Don't try to be working in too many professorial, like jargon, or trying to sound like you've already got a PhD or that you've been using academic writing for years. I think unless it can come across a little odd, and clarity is better than coming across as sounding sophisticated. Okay. If no one, if you've never read it, there is a book that I highly recommend. It's a short read, and there's also a short journal article. I actually haven't write anything, so it's called academic writing. Is it? No, economical writing. Economical writing. Writing by Deirdre. Well, let me just write the last name, McCloskey. It's a short book. It was originally a journal article that got expanded into a book. You could just ask AI for a short summary of this. I have read this 2 or 3 times. It's just a nice thing to read that talks about academic writing. Eventually, it will be easier after you've just read numerous research articles to know how to write like an academic or like someone with a master's degree in economics, but it takes time, right? And so just be clear. Don't worry about trying to be overly sophisticated. Tips, writer. And so if the deadline is, the 15th of December, well, it may not be, if you haven't started yet, it may not be easy to start to write early and revise, but I am a real big fan. I have done this for 3 students this fall. I have read either a statement of purpose, or I have read some of their writing that they wanted to send as a writing sample, and I've given feedback on. In particular, you could ask your professors or a former professor, someone who's an economist, but ask someone that you think they write well. Write early, revise, ask for help. Use a professional tone and not robotic. AI use is clear when it happens. If you're just using AI statement of purposes, I mean, this is like an instant turnoff for me. Is it what makes a difference in your getting accepted? Maybe not with good grades. Is it what's going to get you an assistantship? Probably not, right? And so I like to hear a student's voice, right? So something like that, write in your own voice. Keep to the word limit. I know it's difficult, but guess what? Part of making sure that communications, or like someday if you have an important result, you have like this great result, it's this great idea, you're trying to communicate it, you know it can save lives, you know it can improve people's lives, but no one wants to read it, or it's too long. Writing succinctly and well is difficult. And this is an example where if you have trouble keeping to the word limit, revise. You should be able to get it under the word limit. There's a reason they ask for word limit. Always customize the letter. If I see Old Dominion University or program director Jay Walker, I know they at least they wrote down the right university name. I appreciate that, but they also got my name correct. I've it. I don't want to say that this is as common, but every semester I see statement of purpose, a statement of purpose that has another university name on it that is not ODU, that is not Old Dominion. And you know, at the margin, if I wasn't certain about whether or not I was going to support an application, that's a way. It's like it's not someone who has much attention to detail, or it's not someone who took the time to look up details about the department or the professors. Um, we're like our department, we're a relatively smaller program. Our professors spend quite a bit of time with students, and so there's an investment in you when you arrive. So we'd like to think, and I think other programs think this as well. It's a lot of work to get graduate students through programs, and seeing students who put in work on the front end or at the beginning is a signal to the professors and to the department. This is someone who's going to do so during the program as well. Close with a forward-looking sentence that signals enthusiasm. I actually thought about this week. I was thinking about having to interact with you all. And I remember what I finished my statement of purpose with. I think it was something where it was the effect of, like, I had the goal. I knew I wanted to get a PhD in economics. The big question that I had was where I would complete my goal and not if. And I look forward to the possibility of it being that the university, or whatever university it was I was writing to. Like I had made up my mind, and it was true. I had made up my mind at that time. I wanted to get a PhD, and therefore it was not if, it was when. And I tried to signal that as an enthusiasm, a forward-looking sentence, right? And so that's something that's just a personal experience for me. Um, one of those. Okay. And so with that said, we've moved relatively quickly. This does not have to be an all day or the full hour. Um, but I welcome questions, right? And so hopefully there was some information of value there. Uh, so I have one question here from Danae. Thank you. So what's the preferred word count or page limit? So from my prior experience, normally each program probably has a limit or a word count. If there is not a word count or a page limit given or stated, I would probably try to stay in like a 500 word range, something like that. 1 to 2 pages written seems appropriate. Many programs receive numerous applications. And therefore, I think you want to maximize the likelihood that someone reads your statement of purpose all the way through. And how can you do that? Relatively shorter, 1 to 2 pages, and have a nice, crisp first paragraph. The first paragraph is probably the most important of the whole statement, simply because that's the moment when readers are they're deciding, do I want to spend my time reading the rest of this document? So thank you. I think it's a good question. Questions? Success. About 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Had another one, another question come in. Can you please clarify if they're from Stephen, if there is any specific formatting requirement? No, I don't believe so. But I would typically think, you know, single to double spaced, nice clean margins, something like that. If there are specific formatting requirements, I think it would just be something that would be program to program, right? But some kind of idea like a memo style, or if you had, I'm sure that you can probably look and find some example statement of purposes. But my thought would be, like J.K. Walker, statement of purpose. Like that, you might even write Old Dominion University, MA Economics application, something like that. And then from here, you would just write, whether that's double or single spaced after that, I think is up to you. Nice, clean document, something like this. Easy to read. Thank you. I will say, and so this is something that if you may not use this software already, let me open this Overleaf. So I recommend to all of our master students who are considering working on a PhD in their applications to use LaTeX. And so if you have not seen this before, LaTeX, oops, like this. It is just a different, it works like Microsoft Word, but admissions committees will be able to know. Like I can just look at a document and I know if a student has used LaTeX to use it. The easiest way to probably do this, you can set up a free account at Overleaf. There are pay options, but the size that we have is just like for the purposes of a thing like this, a free would be certainly all you needed. And so like here's some marketing materials that I've been working on. And so here to the right, you can see a document that's been prepared in LaTeX. In AI, honestly, what you can do, this used to require much more to learn how to code this. You could write the text in Word, and say, put it into ChatGPT or your preferred AI software and say, format this to where I can put it directly into LaTeX for a statement of purpose, and it would be able to write you this code. Now, you may have to play with it some, but I promise you, I always notice when a student or when an applicant uses LaTeX for their statement of purpose, for their resume, for a cover letter. I recommend doing this. So we have one from Sanjeev now. What are admission committees members looking for in a statement of purpose? I mean, what are they looking for in a candidate? Which other documents couldn't explain? So I think this is a good question. So really, you are trying to tell a story that, or you're trying to fill in perhaps some of the things that the other documents don't show. So you were an economics major, you were a math major, you were what, you studied these things, you may have these experiences. This is how you, like, this is why you're going to succeed in this program. Something like that. But really, the reason I like to see them as a program director, someone who sits on the admissions committee, is it's an example of writing. It's a writing sample. So sometimes students do include like a project that they had from a class as a writing sample, but this is a very quick way for me to see, like, is the student, do they write well? And so that's kind of it. That's why I personally like it. Otherwise, and I'll share these slides with everyone who has registered via LinkedIn, and I'll post them out on YouTube as well to where everyone can get to them. But to me, it's like the three questions, right? So what am I looking for? Who are you? What do you want to study inside the program? This is where like your field, or why economics? Who are you? Why economics? Why this program? More broadly and more like, I guess, pragmatically, I like to see it because I can get an idea of, are these students serious? Did they put some time into the statement of purpose? Can they write well? If they're a non-native English speaker, what's their level of English ability? Right. And all this is a signal about whether or not they would be able to be a good research assistant, a good teaching assistant, those sorts of things. Right. It's just another chance, or really it's another opportunity for you to show your professionalism and that you're a good candidate. That's the way I would think about it. Uh, so I got a question from Steven. I may circle back around to it. So it's sort of related, but it's kind of not. It is just about it's about transcript evaluation. How much should I talk about my math background? So thank you, Sanjeev. It was a good question. How much should I talk about my math background? And so I assume that this is one where they're either applying to economics or another more technical, a STEM field. If the courses are there in the transcript, you can talk about them. But I do think there's some value, at least, especially when you have more technical, or if like it's a PhD. Like I had gone back and taken more math classes in between, and so I made sure to talk about it. It's like I have shown personally, so like the last 2 years or the last 3 semesters, I have taken courses as a part-time student while working full-time to make sure I had the math courses or the prerequisites to succeed. Or, like from looking at the requirements from your program, I have had all of the necessary math. I have also been practicing or studying for the GRE. And so like our program has a GRE waiver. but like I have been refreshing, something like that, or I've been working to prepare. And so is that something that's absolutely necessary? No. If it's a program that's very technical, perhaps. So like we require just a calculus course. I can think of another program that sometimes students apply to in addition to us. It's not too far away. They require through Calculus 3. Um, and so, that's quite a bit different in terms of prerequisites. So it's, one, if it seems like there's more emphasis on math in the description of the program, then it's probably worth talking about your math background, or it may be worth thinking about. And so I'll come back to Stephen's question. I just wanted to say, are there any other statement of purpose? So I think I talked about this earlier. So is it okay to talk about weaknesses? Um, Perhaps. So like if you have a C in a calculus course, if you have a C in econometrics as an undergraduate in your transcript, admissions committees are going to notice that. I tend to think personally that it's probably worth talking to. I would probably talk about it, but that's, can you explain, like, so while you had a grade that was not as good as you would hope, like how did you respond, or have you returned to understand that material, perhaps, if that makes sense, like um at least for us, like econometrics, I don't think, no, just a regular statistics course is one of ours. But like if you don't have a B or better in statistics or in a statistics course, you would have to retake that prior to starting the program. And so like this just may mean that you were in a provisional admission sort of thing. Um, and so that's where I think knowing the program too. You just need to look at the prerequisites of the program relative to what you have, those sorts of things. And so one last one, and then I'm with you, Stephen. So how do I make my statement stand out? Uh, Thank you. I think this is a good question. Um, so I don't know that there's a magic way to do that, but I do think if you include all of these parts: introduction, background, research interest and fit, future goals. It, a good statement of purpose does not have to be a work of art. It does not have to be perfect, but it should be written professionally, concisely, and it should be personalized. And so to me, the personalization, I think, is the good way to make it stand out. So if that not everyone does. So fewer statements of purpose do this than you might anticipate. They don't personalize them. And so like ODU has this focus, or from what I see on the website, it has this. Or you have these faculty members that look like individuals I might be able to work with, something like that. Okay, and so Stephen's question here. I have a 3-year diploma in a different field than economics, and then I have a 2 years degree in economics and mathematics. Do I need transcript evaluation for both transcripts? That is a great question, Stephen, and honestly, that will probably depend on the universities you are applying to. In the last 2.5 years, I have started to see more transcripts that have been evaluated to our program, coming in with applications to our program from my understanding, I don't know that ODU has to have transcript evaluation, but many universities do. So this may be, you know, and I have other recordings, so I can share these with you as well, like, like trying to strengthen your resume, trying to strengthen the application over time. You should make a list. And I'd be excited if ODU is in the list that you might apply to, but you should have a list of schools, and then you should have requirements, like that sort of thing. And so maybe if this cost of getting the transcript evaluation is a barrier, look and see like what schools can I like require it, what schools don't. If you want to know for certain, you can always the Office of Admissions, every university has one. You would email the Office of Admissions. If you are an international student, someone coming from outside the United States, or a non-US citizen, it would be the Office of International Admissions. Every university should have one or some equivalent, and just say, I have this is my situation. Do I need the transcript evaluation? At least at ODU, they don't respond right away, but generally within 2 to 5 business days. Generally in 1 to 2 business days is what I've seen when my conversation with students, and they can let you know. And so it's a great question. Thank you for asking. And so if something comes up, if you think of something else, I've only got 2 or 3 more slides. If you have not gone to this website before, it's the American Economic Association Resources for Potential Graduate Students. Just type in AEA Grad School. I'll open the link and then drag this over. So for the United States, this is the best resource of information for deadlines. There's a listing of universities right here, graduate degrees in economics. This will give you a list, a timeline, places to look for money, what math courses you may need. And this is different. And so I will tell you that PhD is more stringent. They have more requirements than what a master's degree is, right? So for us, it's like intermediate macro or micro, a calculus course in a statistics course. Some programs will ask for more, right? Some through Calculus 3, some may ask. Some places, if you're looking for elite schools, it's probably preferred to have had real analysis. And so this is just something that, you are about to invest. If you're watching this, whether you're thinking about economics or not, you're about to invest a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort. And I encourage you to research the costs, the differences between programs, those sorts of things. This is a good place to do that for the United States. I'm not sure about the resource for like Europe or another continents, and I apologize, but this is the one I know about for the United States. And so again, I'll just briefly say, please follow us on LinkedIn, regular updates, those sorts of things, department news, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you took the time to sort of listen to me talk to you all about statements of purpose. I wish you all the best in applying this application season or this round. I'm assuming now, if you're watching this, probably fall of 26 would be your goal semester, but it could be, another semester or year after that. And so I will stop the recording